Hi guys, welcome to another mix video. These videos can get a little long, so get yourself a cup of coffee or a drink, sit down, relax. Hopefully you're going to get something out of this. I'm having a good time making these videos. The software I'm using is called ScreenFlow from Telestream. That's the video capture that allows me to utilize a camera from my iMac and some screen capture from my Raven here, and multiple audio inputs and that as well. I'm doing a lapel into my interface, and it's all sort of recording multi-track. Very cool software for those people who are wondering how I'm doing it. Okay, so we're in Logic today. It's a totally different song. This one here is recorded not in my studio or on location, or via everyone's home rig. This is a professional audio production company who has allowed us to use their warehouse to, because of our restrictions here in South Australia, we have to still be spread out, and so we needed a bigger space if we were going to record all together as a band. And some AJS lighting and sound production, or Andy J Sound as we know it here in South Australia, has lent us their room and their gear. They've given us an audio and lighting tech, and we've just brought along our cameraman Patter from Smack On Content. He's doing the filming on his iPhone with a DJI gimbal as usual. This is how it all turns out. So shooting in 4K widescreen on the iPhone using an anamorphic lens. I'll let him explain all of the tech of what he's doing. This is the raw video and the raw sound. This is a totally different way of recording. I normally have a roof in my studio which compresses all of our sound, and I have an XY configuration on my up on my overheads on the drums, and with the low ceiling as well, I'm getting they really help me with the snare sound. In this situation, I won't get that sort of same thing because the pencil mics are pointed straight down. It's a high roof. They're not as close to the kit as I normally put them. They are Rode NT5s on the top, and I think he's using Sennheisers all round. 57s on the congas and bongos. We're singing through Sennheiser 835s, I think. 835s and 935s. 57s on the amps, which 2 Fender amps, left and right. Stefan's playing lead on his telly. Dusty, who's singing the Tom Petty part and is playing his Les Paul through the same Fender amp. Con is playing bass through his normal GK600 head, and we are going direct out of that. These guys are using a digital desk, and they are recording it all via the desk 24/48. So as I've asked them, the lighting guys standing back there as well. So we've got our maximum 10 people in the room, all working hard here to make the video. This is the take I've chosen. Enough blabbing about the background. Let's get into the sound and mix this sucker. Let's have a listen to some individual things. Now the kick come out great. Unfortunately, I'm going to trigger it anyway because it's quicker. It is our signature sound. It's just a very easy, and for those of you who have watched my previous videos, you'll see that I do this. Please don't hate on me for triggering the kick. I normally do it because we're in this small room here and there's a lot of bass guitar in the kick and other noises in the kick mic, and I prefer just to do that just to make it easy to clean up the kicks in one sweep. So I'm using, I'm just going to go to my kick settings. So it is a Slate trigger, Stephen Slate Trigger 2, standard model. I think I bought it for $49 US time. I haven't gone to update it or anything, and I haven't bought extra packs. So the Kick 6 Z3 mic is the one I use, tuned exactly how it is. I also have an R bass pushing 63 Hertz, and I have an L2 Waves, you know, with 6 dB push on that as well. So limiting it, just pumping it up, so all of the kicks are very consistent. I don't want kicks that are little and kicks that are small. I want them all in there, in solid in the mix. You can't hear the trigger at the moment because I haven't adjusted the detail down. So there we go. Brad's pretty consistent. The only thing is, at the beginning of the track, I want to make sure that I'm getting these little ones. Got to be careful here. There's no bleed in there. Let's have it. It's pretty solid. So there's my kick sound sorted. I'm going to move straight on to snare. That one, there's going to be a lot of other time spent on some of these other instruments. So moving on to the snare. Now I have an L2 stereo just as a babysitter limiter on my master. So I'm going to adjust all that. Everything's at panned in the middle and at unity gain at the moment. So we're just dealing with raw files. So let's listen to the snare. Now I think that was a 57. Not sure. Let's have a look at. I'm going to go to my Slate digital EQ, Infinity EQ. Now, I was using Logic's linear phase EQ as my real go-to, but this guy here has just become my favourite. It's just so so lovely, sounds so good, gives me such a huge amount of flexibility. So I'm just going to have a look at its spectrum. So usual suspects around, you know, your 200 and another little one above. That one there. Now, I don't want to go too crazy on cutting all of the dings out of this one. Just that main note sort of bothers me. If anything, I might just go and just raise the tops a little 3 dB from back here, just for the mids. Just for those little tiny, you know, little tiny bits, because I know Brad plays those little ghosties. And that's not going to, I mean, some of that will be in the overheads. Let's just leave that as it is. I will put an L2 mono on it and give it a bit of a push, because I generally, you know, that snare needs pop. Okay, let's listen to the toms. I'm listening in between the hits, just to hear what's ringing. Okay. Straight away, and looking at this, you know, the EQ is really doing the job for you. It's showing you where the peaks are. You can see them right there. So it's showing you what's, that's the one that's ringing. And there's another one as well, just a around there, so I'm just gonna, for my, I like that, that's nice and under control. Let me just, okay, so now I've just got rid of the artifacts, and now I'm going to use the EQ again. In fact, I could even forget about that and open up another one straight after it, and now I'm EQing the actual tom itself, okay? So I do 2 passes on a tom. I don't like to gate them off. I like the sound of a real kit and all of the mics open. That's my style. So let's have a listen. Okay, it rings fairly long. I'm trying to find a nice sort of top end lift here so I can hear the, I'm liking that, and to me it sounds a little bit boxy in the middle, 400-ish. Around here it's just too, yeah, so that sort of keeps the low end without putting some of that too much boxy sort of sound in it, right? So I'll just thin that out a bit. Okay, so I'm going to pan this sucker according to its position on the kit. So, you know, it's not center, kicks in the center, along with the bass. So let's go right and left for the, pan this sucker to the right, about there. Floor, we'll pan over to the left, about balanced. Let's listen to the floor by itself. I'm just going to switch to mono here so nothing changes. This one's pretty good though, I don't hear any artifacts. Wow, that sounds great. Whatever they're using on that floor, I think it's a Sennheiser 604. I think that's on the rack and that, but that, it may be. Fantastic. Listen to the separation, the clean. I'm very impressed with that. I think I don't need to do anything with that. Let's run them both. So in stereo, I'm okay with those working together. Let's just run a little bit of a fill. Sound great. So eventually they'll, you know, these guys will go into their own bus. I might as well bus those guys now. So bus, just selecting them both. Bus 1, call it Tom's. These guys can have their own EQ. I think that I'll just go straight towards my Slate digital virtual mix rack. Let's see, on the default, we'll probably just add a little bit of tops for zing. Make sure we don't have any nasty subs. And I like the trim, the British, nothing much going on there. And let's have a listen. And let's give them their own Verb suite. So this is Slate Digital's Verb suite. This is free with your all-you-can-eat Slate. I'm just going to run it just how it is straight out, or just bring the dry wet back to, you know, your 30% or so. Let's have a listen. Pretty good. I think it's pretty good. I'm just going to leave it like that. Let's start changing colors and modes and that later. Overheads. All right. Now the overheads. This is a totally different sound that I'm used to. Different microphones as well. I normally use Shure KSM 137s. We're very lucky to be endorsed by Shure. Thank you for those guys for giving some great mics. But these Rode Australian pencils, the Rode Anti-Pfizer are a great mic as well. Notice the two different tones here between two mics. Their position maybe as well, proximity to the tom, tone. So this top one to me sounds a little deeper. This one here sounds like the bottom's been rolled off it. And it's got a little bit of a mid-range honk in it. So I'm going to add these things back. I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to add a little bit of bottom end. Okay, this one here I'll probably have to just take a bit of bottom off so that I can compensate, because adding bottoms when they're not there to the other one is not really matching them very well. I think that's pretty close. So EQ matching these guys in mono just like this, and then splitting them apart. One's left and one's right. Let's make sure that these guys are on the right. So that's actually the wrong way around. That sounds like the rack's on the left, so this guy has to be right, that guy has to be left. That's right. Let's put our toms on and make sure we position them correctly. Lovely. So, you know, don't get that wrong. If you get that wrong, you really are in a whole lot of trouble. I have gone through and found my snare hit here and sort of lined up my timing. I've moved these files, just nudged them so that they're all hitting the snare at the same time. So it's just giving me some nice phase correction between lots of microphones that are all in different distances from the snare. So that's as easy as just finding a snare hit, moving your cursor to the beginning of it, and making sure these guys, which are normally back here, you know, are nudged into line. Okay. There is no room mic in here. Let's just hear the kit as it is right now with the settings and pans that I've got. Pretty good. It's nice and dry, but it balances pretty good. I'm not unhappy with that. Listen to that kick, it's just wonderful. Slate, what a beautiful product that is. You can use it on snares and toms and stuff as well, but you know, kick is my go-to there. And that little 63 hertz push through the R bass, you can do that with a sub-harmonic, a sub-bass plug-in. Most DAWs have it, even Logic does. So it has no space, and of course when you're looking at the video, just push this guy in line. I think he needs to, that's it. So there's no space, and I've got to create the space that you're looking at there. So I'm thinking that, you know, let's just go to the overheads and bust these guys, and I'll find the space here. So I'm going to create the space with a drum kit first, put them in the room like they're playing all alone, no one else is there. Then I'm going to add other instruments and add them to the space. Now the space is the reverb that I'm going to choose. So overheads first. I'm bussing these guys. I'm going to call it overs. Virtual mix rack. Okay, so I'm on the overheads. I'm always going to go to my monster, the monster. Now there's no EQs or anything applied here. I'm just going to pull that back to 0. Let's have a listen to the overheads. Pump it up. That's just the overheads you're hearing. The power of this monster compressor. Oh, extreme dynamic processor. Wow. Just turning the mix up, leaving it as it is default. Now to me, the sound of that is the sound of the muscles in the drummer growing, and his attitude changing, and the whole attitude of the song changing with a knob here, it's just crazy how good, you know, how much of a difference that makes, right? So plus it does change the EQ, but you know, not too much. You know, that's really punchy. That's without the punch in. Let's try it with the punch button. Now the punch button does give me an extra punch. I'm going to move the position of this, the Custom Series EQ after, and I'm going to low cut because I've already got a massive kick drum anyway. And I'm going to bring this up over my 63 Hertz punch. Now remember, I got these guys bust, so I can always EQ them. To me, I can still hear the pock of the snare a little bit too much. Around here, right? Around here is what I'm talking about in the snare. Now, I don't want that in the overheads. I want to suppress it. If anything, I probably want to add a little bit of body where I need it. And remember, this is my cymbals. There's no hat mic. So these are my cymbals, so I must be careful about how nasty metally these are. To me, they're a little bit nasty. Now, I'm not even finding, I'm just looking at the spectrum analyzer, seeing what's happening, and going poke. I'm not going, is that 4.9 Hertz, you know, 5K? But that is kilohertz. I'm pretty okay with that. Let's have a listen to the whole kit again, just before we move on. I'm about to add a reverb. Okay, so the two things that are going to get this reverb is going to be the snare. I'm going to call this the DR for drum, or just drum, Rev. This is the one for the kit. Stereo bus, and I'm going to go into the reverbs in Logic. I'm going to go Chroma Verb, and I'm going to go to my fave chambers, Dirty Chamber, pulling down the center a little bit, okay? So let's listen to it. I'm just adding reverb to the snare. Now let's watch the video. Let's put ourselves in the space. I'm going to add a little bit of this to the overhead bus and see what happens here too, all right? The space itself is a little bit acoustic dampened because of all the row cases, but I'm liking the sound of it. It's sort of live on television cross sort of thing, you know, the Late Show sort of set. I like the sort of live studio length of that reverb. It might be a little long. I can always just go to it and just decrease its decay. It's not very big anyway. Okay, let's move on. I have got some bongos in here. Our mate Steve Todd is playing them. He's a fantastic player. Congas left and right. Let's just make sure we've got these guys in the right. So that sounds like this guy here is the one on the left. This other one here is on the right. And the bongo mic is right in the middle. That's going to give us some nice sort of center on this as well. So I'm going to bus all of these guys together. Let's get rid of the video. Bus the 3 of these guys. Congas. EQ. Compression, I'm going to use a very basic L2 because I just want to slam them. Want to compress them and bring down the out ceiling. I want to bring that, you know, just make them really pop. And I'm going to give them their own reverb. Now I normally use Reverb, Space Designer. In the medium spaces rooms, there is a percussion room, 1.5 seconds. Okay, so the space is what I have. Let's work on this EQ. Let's thin it out. With percussion, you really poke up the nose in this particular situation because the drums are sounding sort of real hi-fi, very studio-ish. So to give it some space, I'm going to poke them out and make them sound a bit nosy, a bit mid-range. Especially when you can really hear that the reverb of the top sound of the high conga also picking up cons yelling direction to the band is there as well. So look, let's add these to the drums. Beautiful. Congas are great, I'll just turn them down a bit. Lovely. Let's move on to the bass. This is taken direct. Now the digital desk these guys are using is much more sophisticated. Its preamps are so much better than my cheap USB audio interface that I normally use. I love Steinberg gear, and you are great. Love you, Steinberg. But this particular sound here, mine sounds a little dirtier, which I do like that sort of grit in the bass. But they've DI into the prep. It's just absolutely beautiful and clean. Doesn't sound very bassy, but I think it's going to be just fine. Now, as it goes down to that F sharp, there's a little bit of a poke up on a, it just seems a little louder. So let's find that frequency. There we are. So it's going to be one of these guys. It won't be 48 hertz. It'll be more likely this one here around 100, 93. I'm listening for consistency in volume. All right, so the first EQ just gets rid of any bugs. From then, I sort of ignore it, and if I want to EQ the bass anymore, I'll EQ from there. It's just my first EQ. I like it, you know, it's fixed a bug, and I'd like to even, you know, if I don't want to apply it permanently to the WAV, like audio suiting in processing, and you can do that in Logic as well. You can process in processing, so selection bass or apply, you know, the plug into it, but I'm cool with the way it is. Let's leave the bass for now, because I think that even in the scheme of things, if anything, I'd just put a compressor on it. I'll just use my, in fact, while I've got my wave stuff, I'll just do my Renaissance compressor. Very, very nice on bass, this one. Make sure your attack is on slow. You don't need too much of a ratio. 2 maybe? Let's have a watching for this center thing here to start moving down to the 3. So 3 is my limit. I don't want it to go much past 3 dB gain reduction. I'm adding a fair bit, but I'm just making sure that, you know, it's bringing the cons notes, the long notes, it's giving them more sustain. It's really stretching out the volume of those long tails. And along the way, it's giving me a little bit of volume as well. It's time now to grab all of these and bring them down, because I know that I'm only halfway through the mix and eventually that output's going to be really popping. So still same sound. Okay, we've got Stefan's guitar, which now he is playing a whole bunch of different tones here. He's got a crunch, he's doing solo, and he's doing a clean. So I'm going to go through his guitar track and slice it up into those three elements. So I'm going to create 2 more tracks, and I'm going to call one crunch and one clean, and the one that he's on, I'm going to call it solo. Okay. Crunch. Solo. There's my clean. So I just bring the crunch there, leave the solo where it is. This guy here is clean. Let's just bring him down here. Alright, so his crunch. Solo. And there's my... So there's crunch. There's a solo. Back to clean. Just grab both of those. Solo. Take this guy up to the solo track. Bit of solo there. Solo, clean. Solo, and this guy here I think was crunch. Yes. Okay, so that was a bit fast. It was just me editing. Solo bits at the top, crunch bits in the middle, and clean bits on the third. These are mono, just a single mic in front of his amp. It's got a lot of separation and stuff. The solo is going to be the most complicated. Let's go to the clean first, and I'll show you what I want to do here. Because these are gentle notes, I definitely want to compress them right up. I want to go straight to an L2, and I'm going to really hit them hard. In fact, there is a Better Waves plugin for this, and that is the Renaissance Axe. Renaissance Axe is like that, but it just punched the mids. This plugin is so useful. on overheads, on all sorts of different things where you want to compress and really slam something and poke it out with mids. This has been around for a long time, this plugin. It's generally designed for guitar players who want to process a guitar on the way in before they hit like an amp sim. It's just like a good compressor stomp pedal, give you that boost for a solo. But you know, I've used this on so many things, and I've seen guys with Grammys, engineers who use it on overheads and things like that as their secret little weapon to give something a bit of a poke. This thing is very good plugin. If you have a Waves plugins, you should be using the Axe. All right, that's great. Now I'm adding 15 dB of slam here. That's beautiful. All right, so they're all. I'm going to go to the EQ. It has added some mids. So I'm going for the smiley face, mids out, lots of bottoms and tops. I'm going to go for a little bit of chorus. Just a quick note here, because I've split up this audio into lots of different things, I've cut the audio and there's going to be clicks at the beginning and ends of all of these objects. So you must go to your region, select them all and go fade in and fade out. If it's just a little bit, to stop a click happening when that audio file starts. So move past that. And of course, we've got two guitar players, so also I want him on the left-hand side of the clean. Okay, crunch. Crunch is going to be also on the left. I'm going straight for the Renaissance axe on this one. Wow. That may be enough. And these guys haven't got any reverb yet. I'm going to add a little bit of that because I'm going to wait till I process a solo. Okay, Renaissance axe again. Okay, so with this one, I definitely need a delay. So I'm going to just create, just put a bus here, a stereo delay. Not sure about the tempo on this. I think it'd be, it's still 600 milliseconds and double at 1200 or so like that. Ding, ding. Let's just have a listen to it by itself. I'll just pump a lot of this delay in. So a little bit quicker than that. I don't want any of the subs to be pushed in the delay, just the mids to tops on this. Lovely. And you want to always add some reverb to that delay so that the tails are fuzzy. I'm going to, I'll probably go to my Slate digital verb suite. I'm going to insert it. Just listening to the bus now, the reverb, the delay bus. Pre-delay of more than 125 milliseconds will give you the natural, the walls are real sound. On a reverb, especially a vocal one, if you want that really feel where the walls are, 125 milliseconds pre-delay is really where you want to go. You'll hear the difference once you kick in over 125 milliseconds, because all of these delays, reverbs, start with, you know, the presets have no pre-delay on them. When you go to 125 milliseconds on the pre-delay, it opens up to the real, all right? So especially with a song here where it's, you know, it's cruising along. Faster songs, maybe don't worry about that so much because, you know, it's going to go past, but the difference there is huge. Fantastic. All right, so far, let's just grab these guitars, all three of them, and just pull them down a bit. Go back to the top. Okay, we've got another guitar, Dusty's guitar, he's on the right. Create a bit of balance, let's let him in. Renaissance sax. Now the bass amp is right next to his amp. So down the bottom, the little corner here, left right hand corner of the video, is his amp with a bass amp right next to it. So there's a lot of bottom end in his. So we're going to need to get rid of that. To aggressively attack the bottom end on his, unfortunately, but so it's gonna be relying on its mid-range, which I think is still okay. You just got to make sure it's not going to be in front of your vocals a bit. Let's just make sure we've got all nice mids here. Let's have a listen to them. That's pretty cool. Let's put him in the mix with everyone and see how he sounds, especially with the crunch. So I'm playing the two guitars that are playing crunch together, and I'm watching my output 1 and 2. He is a little higher, but remember he has no bottom end. So maybe that's okay. He might just be a little loud. Okay, I'm going to stay there with that. Not going to overdo his EQ. We'll add the keyboards now, which is a split between a Rhodes sound and a kicked-in piano layer. I'm going to push these left and right, but not really wide because the tremolo on these things is a little bit wide. So I'm going to just make it not quite. And the piano's in there as well. So I will put these all together into one bus. Keyboards are generally a little bit easier to mix because you know, they're coming out of digital stuff that's you've been doing some EQing in the keyboard. Speaking like a keyboard player, of course, here. All right, let's listen to these guys through their bus. If anything, I'm going to give them a little bit of some dynamics just and compress them. Let's use our favorite black faced. The tone from this compressor is just so beautiful. It gives it a nice body. And a bit of gain as well. Let's add these suckers into the mix. Guitar bits are going to need to be poked out there, I think, but I'm very happy so far with how everything's going. We've got my microphone and Brad's microphone, Brad's drummer here. Now the drums are a little bit hi-fi sounding, but his microphone outside of him actually singing is as good as a drum mic, really, to me. So I'm going to grab his harmonies, slice them out. I'll just duplicate his track, grab his harmonies. Start to there. Just grab vocals. And I'm going to use his microphone as a drum mic. Nothing much there. Go through two. So I think that's all we have in backing vocals. Check. That's it. All right, so I'm going to add this to the overhead bus. Make sure that I've got little ins and outs faded in and out. Same with these backing vocals. And Brad's backing vocals, I'm going to leave in the center, maybe just off center a touch. And then I'm going to, actually we've only got him and myself singing backing vocals, so I could always push him to the right a little and myself to the left because I'm playing keyboards on the left. Let's bus those guys to their own bus, select them both, and bus those guys to the BV bus, backing vocals, the Beavers. And as usual, we'll EQ them, slam them hard with our monster, or the distressor is always good on this one as well. Let's try that. Taking the bottom end off, giving it lots of air. Let's have a listen. Are we on here, Darren? Yes. And Brad. Stop taking my heart It sounds pretty cool. They need their own reverb, and I love the Verb Suite on this one. Remembering that, you know, in Brad's microphones there's drums, so whenever he sings it's going to be a little poke of drums in there, but you know, hopefully no one will notice. Now as for his drum, his microphone, while it's doing, remember it's bust through to my processing with the overheads, so I'm just going to hit it hard with an L2 just to turn it right up and slam it. I like the sound of it though. I reckon that's definitely going to help out our overheads. Let's just listen to them all together, just the overheads. And without Brad's microphone, how's the difference? Especially the snare, that's just sounding great. So I've utilised the microphone, you know, during those little bits. When he's singing, of course, they'll pop out. Maybe no one will notice. Let's listen to everything in right now without the main vocals. That need to be fixed, but I'm going to go straight into the two main vocals now. Let's start with Leslie. These guys are singing through dynamic Sennheisers, 835s or 935s. Now Leslie's voice is softer than Dusty's, or he sort of really eats the mic. And her voice is so you can see her waveform has got a lot of everyone else in it. Come knocking on my front door, same old used to. So I'm going to push this until these guys are in just touching the red while she's really singing, right? So dragging my, stop dragging my heart around, dragging my heart around. Got to be careful with the compression on a voice situation like this, because she's already got a bit of proximity effect on the microphone as you do with a dynamic. But you can't hit the compressor too hard. There is no compressor in this one at the moment, so I'm going to just be very careful with her compression. I think I would probably use the 401 because it's a little bit gentler here. Slow attack, you know, just be gentle with the compression. Plus there's a lot of bleed, so we will need to take out some of those snares. Say you had a little trouble. Just listening to her microphone by itself. I'm going to low cut just enough. Say you keeping some demons. I'm going to still add a little bit of bottom end, not too much, because you will get the proximity effect back. Stop dragging my, stop dragging my, stop dragging my heart around. Say you had a little trouble in your town. Say you're keeping some demons down. Stop dragging my, stop dragging my, stop dragging my heart around. Okay, so once I add a reverb, it'll sort of make her mid sound differently, so different. So let's just I'm going to put her through a separate reverb, and I'm going to use the Verb Suite. I'm not going to use their straight out 480. Let's just listen to it by itself.
Say you had a little trouble in your town. Say you're keeping some demons down. Stop dragging my heart around. Say you had a little trouble in your town. Say you're keeping some demons.
This has got a beautiful delay sounding effect, which is very, very nice. It's just this particular one's got, it looks like it's got, you know, a fairly fast pre-delay, but it sounds like a delay.
Stop dragging my heart around.
That little delay is sort of about the right size as well, and so that might, let's just put it back into the mix and have a listen to how that's sounding.
Stop dragging
I'll just put an L2 here to bring her up to level. I'm just going to bring her up using this. She's already on Unity. I'm not going to push that past 0. I'm just going to use plugins.
I said, hey, well, what am I supposed to do? I didn't know what I was getting into. Say you had a little trouble in your town. Say you're keeping some demons down. Stop dragging my heart around.
Okay. The thing is, the thing I'm not, that snare. Now the sound of that snare is not my favourite sound as far as adding it. Remember we added Brad's vocal mic when he wasn't singing as a drum mic. I don't like this as a drum mic, it's a vocal mic, so I'm going to duck it out. So I've pushed my plugins down to allow me to put something before my virtual mix rack. And I'm going to use the Dynamics Noise Gate. I'm going to choose Ducker. And I'm going to sidechain it to the snare, which is what I need to remove. So, looking ahead, because otherwise, let's just give it a go here. Let's run it at about -10, -10, so you can really hear it working here. Let's go back to the beginning. Not hearing any snare here. Audio. Snare. Oh, it's because our snare is not soloed. Now, if I don't want to hear the snare along with this, let's create a brand new track, just a duplicate of the snare. I'm going to give it no output, and I'm going to call it trigger. So no one hears it except for this little plug-in. Audio, trigger. Okay. So now I'll just solo that along with Leslie's vocals. Okay, so now if I push the look ahead, it'll come in time. Now the snare lasts a little longer, so I'm going to hold it for a little longer. Wow, that's almost gone, right? So it's just pushing the volume down of her vocals when the snare hits.
Baby, you come knocking on my front door. Same old line you used to use before.
That sounds a little unusual, but when you put it in the mix, you won't notice that. I can hear it a little because I've probably just gone a little bit more aggressive so you can hear it. But you know, you can really eliminate a sound kick or a snare or something from a vocal mic.
Say you're keeping some demons down. Stop drinking my.
That's beautiful. All right, Dusty, let's bring him in, his vocals.
Trouble in your town. Say you're keeping some demons down.
Okay, this guy, he doesn't have much in the way of bleed, so I'm not going to worry about putting a ducker on him. Let's listen to his vocals here.
Say you're keeping some demons down. Say you're keeping some demons down. Say you're keeping some demons down. Stop dragging my. Stop dragging my. Stop dragging. Say you're keeping some. Wanna tell me goodbye. No, you really wanna be your own girl. Baby, you can never look me in the eye.
There's
girl.
Let's add him to the vocal. Rev.
You wanna tell me goodbye. No, you really wanna be your own girl. Baby, you can never look me in the eye. Yeah, you buckle with the.
And remember, when these guys are singing singing together, I want to split them apart a bit, and when they're singing solo, I want them in the center. So let's start with some automation of panning. Main, pan. So in Logic, don't just go to pan. You go to main, where your main volume absolute, you know, pan absolute. That's where I need to be. And I'm going to automate the pan. Press the read button. On she comes. So right here, I'm going to pan her away to the left while she sings with Darren. And then I'm going to bring her back to center. So I'll push her to the left. Enough, you know, 10.
Stop dragging my. Stop dragging my. Stop.
So they're not sort of, you know, on top of each other. And I'll do the opposite on his side. So main, pan, absolute. Switch on his read button. Let's do exactly the same thing. Now he is singing a ooh as well after that. I think he's okay to be in center. Let's just push him over to the right, about the same, 13.
Dragging my. Stop dragging my.
Oohs for both of them. She's in the center again till they start singing together.
No, you really wanna tell me goodbye. Really want girl.
And here they are, they're going to separate. Let's find to the end. We want 13 to the left for her, 13 to the right for him. So when they're singing together, they're not singing right on top of each other.
I know you.
Same bit right here. Now this bit. Back to center. He's off to the right, 13. She's off to the left, 13.
Stop dragging my heart around, baby.
These guys are still off to the left and right of each other, I'd say. Sorry. She's left. He's right. Yes, I'm getting it right.
Stop dragging my.
Stop dragging my. but the rest of the word he's singing, so we're just going to go 13. This is a little tricky, but hey. I want to go in full center. I might just push him a little bit in. Same thing here. Start dragging her bit, so split them apart. Together. Okay. One more thing I need to do is definitely I want to bring Leslie's vocal up and down with a volume draw. So while I'm here, main, absolute. So I'm just going to go through and just solo her vocal. Find all of her bits where she's singing.
Baby, you come knocking on. Dragging around. It's hard to about what they want, anything at all. Baby, you can never look me in the eye. Stop dragging my heart, baby. Stop dragging my. Stop. Oh, stop dragging my.
Have a listen to how much I'm reading.
Stop dragging my heart around.
Now there's probably some little bits in between some lines, especially in her verses. But by doing this, I can really reduce her microphone's impact on the mix, the snare sound, everything else that I'm hearing in there. So that first verse, the long one's probably got a few little bits of where the kick drum is.
My front door, same old used to use before. I say you do, didn't know what I meant to.
Like there, you know, things like that. If you were really going to be pedantic, you could do that and just sort of push down. If you wanted to, but I don't think I need to. That's going to, now look, overall, if her voice is too loud, I can always just put an L1 limiter on her and just, you know, I've got an L2 and I can just push it backwards and forwards. So I can use the limiters out ceiling to bring her down, or this one here, the threshold, pull it down to bring her up in the mix. So this is just a general in-out sort of automation. Let's listen to the track now from the start. Let's balance things up. We're just about there.
Baby, you come knocking on my front
quick let the doggy out of the studio moment here. There you go. Off you go, mate. He's getting bored, wants to go and see what's going on. Chase the postman. Okay, back to me. See, this is really happening. This is my life.
This doesn't have to be the beginning.
The snare, I can hear a pock, and I'm not sure where it's coming from. It's you know, I don't think it's from Leslie's mic. I think it. I'm not sure whether I've added too much of Brad's. You know, Brad's this one here. But it's somewhere in the overheads.
This doesn't have to be the...
Yeah. I can hear it in there. That's where it is.
Tell me goodbye. Know you really wanna be your own girl.
Baby, you can never look me in the eye.
I'm going to go to the drums and the bass. I'm going to select them all and I'm pushing them. And I'm going to also go to my main mix and I'm going to put a virtual mix rack in, ready to do the master channel. I'm going to pull back this trimmer at the beginning, just like, you know, I'm going to pull back the gain a few.
Yeah, you buckle with the weight of the world. Stop dragging my, stop dragging my, stop dragging my heart
So what I've done there is add a bit of earth, add a little bit of air, add the input ratio to my the blue edition, just to these are things that I normally do, and I've got my gain happening, you know, -6, -3, so you know that's getting closer to where you want mastering. So that's my basic treatment through the VMR. I will have an EQ as well on the master, and I might just go backwards and forwards from that as we go here.
This doesn't
Much better now with the drums and bass up a bit.
have to be anything at all.
Know you really wanna tell me goodbye. Know you really wanna be your own girl.
Baby, you can never look me in the eye. Yeah, you
Putting keys down and percussion up.
buckle with the weight of the world. Stop dragging my, stop dragging my, stop dragging my heart around.
Now, when you're doing a solo, guitar solo, sax solos, whatever solo is, same volume as the vocal. That's the rule I've always gone for. So however loud you've picked for the vocals,
Used to use it more, I'm lost.
solo has to be the same.
Doesn't have to be the big
Okay.
deal. The make a meal out of some brighter kid. You need someone looking after you.
I know you really wanna tell me goodbye. Know you really wanna be my girl.
Baby, you can never look
The blend between Dusty and Leslie, I need to get that under control.
trouble in your tail. Say you'll keep us some deep.
In mono, you'll get it. You're hearing it in stereo. I'm flicking to mono so I can get the blend right.
Keep us some demons down. Stop dragging my, dragging.
that's a great blend there, but it does change.
know you really
Get even. This doesn't have to be anything at all.
know you really wanna tell me goodbye. Know you really wanna be your own girl.
Baby, you could never look me in the eye. Yeah, you buckle with the I'm looking my heart around.
So he sings a little harder there, so just going to make sure when she's finished singing and he does his little bit that their volume's fairly consistent.
Make a meal out of some brighter kid. You need someone looking after you.
I know you really wanna tell me goodbye. Know you really wanna be my girl.
Baby, you could never look me in the eye. Yeah, you buckle with the weight of the world. Stop dragging back in my
So at the end of it, it jumped up and she's doing the high harmony now, so I'd bring her down because her voice is sort of hard sounding. Plus, this is the last bit, so I want him to sort of pop out there.
dragging my heart around. Stop dragging my
And my harmony stop up there is a little loud, so Darren, he needs to be brought down. Bring him down. Probably from here onwards, maybe.
Stop dragging my heart around, baby. Stop dragging
Hear that solo, it's got to be the same as the vocal.
my heart around, baby.
Pretty close.
Stop dragging my
All around.
Stop dragging my heart around. Stop dragging my heart around.
That sounds pretty good. I'll whip around my monitors to make sure that my EQ on the master is ready before I send it off to mastering. Let's have a listen and
Baby, you come knocking on my front door. Same old lie you used to use before. I said, hey, well, what am I supposed
to me, at low level in mono through my little Grover noddings, her voice sounds way, way, way too loud.
Didn't know what I was getting into. Say you had a little trouble in your tail.
I think both of these guys, I'm going to bus them, and just to a bus, they're just going to call them main vocals. And I'm going to put an L1 limiter on them, and I'm going to, an L2, sorry, and I'm going to bring the out ceiling down. Just
Demons down. Stop dragging my. Stop dragging my. Stop dragging my. Used to use before. It's hard to think about what you want. It's hard to think about what you lost.
monitors to my little JBL's tweeters. Now there's definitely some high mids in here I can fix.
Stop dragging my, stop dragging my, stop dragging my, stop dragging my, stop dragging my around.
Okay, that's beautiful. Now that's ready to bounce off. So I would definitely be bouncing off as full, you know, this is 24-bit 48K. So I'd definitely use 48K, 24-bit. I'm not going to upscale that to 32-bit. They're not 32-bit files. So whatever it is, raw, you're going to bounce it out. I will push that through to my lander bouncers and as my mix. It uploads it through through my lander folder up through my lander app, and I'll put it on my medium balance setting, and I'll bring it back just every now and then. I'll just download that, pop it into its own next to the video, and I'll just listen and just make my little slight EQ changes until I'm done. So this mix is pretty well there. I will put the resulting video and link so you can hear the final mix and everything, how it went. I hope that you guys haven't been too bored. Wake up, wake you in the back. I hope that what I've done and what I'm doing here is something that you can learn from. If it's not, maybe you're just entertained by me and my dog who wants to leave. I love doing this. It's my favorite thing in the whole world. And I think that if I can help you be better at this, then that's great. I'm giving something back. If you like my stuff, share it around, and please subscribe to my channel. As many subscribers as I can, of course, is going to benefit me in the end. And, you know, drop me a comment. I'll spend some time and, you know, we'll follow up on things as much as I possibly can. For now, it's see you later. I'll see you at the next mix. Bye.